great. You guys pick somebody up on it. Break some kind of CR joint. CR. We get the strangest call. Employees received the call. Somebody was late to somebody.
Hi, Peter. Another meeting down the hall. This is Administration and Public Works Committee. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 11.
Second.
Okay. Any changes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. We have one vote for. We're all voting for them,
Yeah.
all right. Next item, any opposed? Next item is city payroll through November 3 in the amount of $2,606,763.24. Motion to approve?
Second.
Any issues? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? City bills through November 26, $3,239,717.82.
Move approval.
Everybody read the responses? Any questions?
Did you get all your questions answered?
Hopefully, I haven't had time to look. I'll look
Take your time and
afterwards.
look at it. No,
Okay,
I have a follow-up.
all right. Alderman Braithwaite suggests we take a quick look. Could somebody answer a question about the fire station renovation? Oh, hi, Greg. Chief. It says here that I asked if a decision had been made to scale back the costs of the renovation at Fire Station 2, and it says a revised renovation plan was developed with a savings of just under $200,000. What do they mean by that?
Correct.
Which it's going to cost how much?
Chairman, Madam Chair, and members of the committee, Greg Kleiber, Fire Chief. The initial plan and costs were around $350,000 for the first floor, which included a renovation, redesign of the space, as well as the office space. We've since come together, and the office space has been removed, as well as the redesign, so it's going to be essentially replacement of what currently exists there in exact spot. The footprint is staying exactly the same. So the countertops, the cabinets, the flooring, the lighting, and as a result of doing that, it's brought the cost down significantly.
Under 200.
Right.
I'm sure that we've seen the proposal for this, but I would like to have another copy. Could you do that for me? Just sometime in the next week or so, a copy of the costs of the various.
Sure.
items. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to see that. All right, that's it.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair?
Yes.
What we would have at this point is the one-page project sheet, because this is a project just that it hasn't even been spec'd out or bid at this point. So we will forward the one-page project sheet and highlight where it appears in the capital improvements plan for the 2014 budget.
Well, wait. We're hiring an architect for the architectural services. Are they going to design it?
Yes.
I mean, so where did we come up with the 300,000? Who came up with those? That's what I want to see. I want to see the
All right, we will-
specs that we assigned dollar amounts to.
Okay.
Like, because per square foot, this comes to an awful lot of money. All right, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Okay.
But I really would like to see those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, anybody? No? No. All right. Hearing no other issues with the bills, all those in favor of recommending approval of the November 26 bills, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Alderman Burr, wait. We have one speaker signed up for an item A8. Mr. Rizki, would you like to speak? That's having to do with the water rate increase. Good evening.
I'm sorry?
Sure.
Unfortunately,
Name,
I just got this memo today.
Name.
Oh, sorry, Janad Risky,
address.
2784 Sheridan. I just got this memorandum today in the packet, and I read it. Unfortunately, I think I've stated this here about this tank study, but I'm going to keep on stating it because I think some of you better look at this memo very, very carefully and the impact this is going to have on the water ratepayers. And basically, it may actually have really large detrimental problems on the capital of the entire water system. I'm very, very concerned about this when a consultant, and a reputable consultant at that matter, CTL, comes in and says we're going to replace the tank top for $4 million. And we have staff coming back and wanting to spend $26 million to replace the tank. As I said before, that's a 20% water bill increase. And if you look at these memorandums here, as far as the increase, this is going to be basically going to go against the water bill for years to come, against the water ratepayers. The other interesting thing about all this is the Evanston ratepayer is only 20% of the total. The other ratepayers should pay for some of this, and this was what bothers me a lot about a lot of these water plant improvements. The water department isn't telling you how much these other ratepayers are supposed to pay. And I believe in some cases they're supposed to pay. So they're getting money from us that they probably shouldn't even be getting when they ask for this money. And it's starting to really bother me that the ratepayers of Evanston over the next 2 years could be looking at a 33% increase, where the other ratepayers, which are 80% of the capacity, take a 3% increase each year. As far as this water tank goes, I think it's a disaster. I think paying for another study is even more interesting because, I can come up with some of these things on the back of an envelope and say if I make the life of this tank of 10 or 15 years, oh yeah, you can replace it. It's going to be more cost effective. But I think, right now we had a consultant tell us something that I think is fairly reputable. Concrete Testing Labs are a very reputable company. I suggest the aldermen look at this report, read the report, and know what's going on, because this is a disaster to the ratepayers of this community. And there's well over miles and miles of 100-year-old water pipe, and if you look at this closely, they're not increasing any money to fix any of that pipe that has to be fixed. They're not doing that. They're going to put it all into this tank. Is that a good use of your money? Some of you better ask that question very carefully if you're going to do this to the ratepayers. To me, it makes no sense. And there's other things on here, of course, I could look at as I start to wonder about, but frankly, it gets into too much detail. But also, just this 10% increase, when I read it, they were talking initially about capital. And now it says it's proposed on here, well, we need this to generate money to reduce the dependence on our bond proceeds. So where's the capital being used? Because they were talking initially, several meetings ago about capital. I'd like some accountability here, really, on some of this stuff from staff. Really, we need to know what's going on here. When they ask for more money, it needs to be justified. It really does need to be justified because, it's basically, I'll be frank, from a personal perspective, I don't really care if you keep raising the water rates. There are many people, though, in this town, as most of you know, that cannot afford this. And any money that's misused is wrong. And when money's misused, I believe, for political purposes, that's even more wrong. Thank you.
I would like to make a request that the Water Department, Utilities Department, address the issue of how we spread some of these capital costs to our other ratepayers. I think that's an important question to be answered.
Madam
Right.
Chair, would you like that at the next meeting, or
Not tonight, yes, just
we will have a follow-up report?
all the concepts involved in the spread and,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, Alderman Burrs, let's go.
A 3.1, move approval of contracts for purchase of water treatment chemicals in fiscal year 2014 in the total purchase amount would be $506,494.40.
Any discussion? I think we got some good prices here. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Next, Alderman Grover.
Madam Chair, I move committee approval of our contract with Tank Industry Consultants for rehabilitation of the north and south standpipes in the amount of $141,720.
Second.
This is just for the consultants. This isn't for the work. All right, any questions about this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Holmes.
Approval of purchase of the hardware and installation services from Dell Incorporated. Funding is provided by the IT personal computer equipment account, and a budget of $284,200 and the current balance of $155,593, and the amount that would be spent is $134,708.29.
This is an interesting move.
Yeah.
I like this. This is very interesting. All right, yes,
Oh, no.
Alderman Braithwaite.
No, this was my speaker.
Nothing?
We're good.
Madam Chair, if you would like, we do have a very brief show and tell. Jose Calderon is here to show what a VMware personal computer looks like. Mr. Calderon?
Is that it?
Good evening, Madam Chair, committee members, Assistant City Manager Lyons. Brief show and tell. So we are hoping to go the virtual desktop route for our really what's essentially a new deployment of desktops. For the past several years, the city, we've been unable to really deploy new technology to the end user. And what I'm holding here is going to be replacing desktops, or what we hope is going to be replacing desktops, at least for the first 100 users that's outlined in the
We
memo.
see that close up and personal?
I'll let you pass it around and I'll...
Wait. Oh, this is going to replace the CPU type thing, or where's the screen?
It's virtual.
You just imagine it?
It's done by holograms.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm checking out right now. I want you guys to know that.
It looks like a modem thing.
So, Mr. Carlin, you call it replacing the desktops, but what we're really talking about are the boxes that sit on the
This-
floor
yeah,
that are the
Correct,
hard
yeah.
drive, individual hard drives for.
Absolutely, yeah. The name is a little bit misleading. What we're replacing is the box that's at everyone's desk. Everyone is still going to have a monitor, keyboard, mouse. But essentially what we're doing is all the technology, all the things that could go wrong in a common desktop today, we're moving all that and we're centralizing that to our data center.
That's the important.
So it's a lot more efficient. Only about, I think, less than 15 watts of total usage compared to a normal desktop that's over 80 watts. And just from a help desk perspective, it's going to be a lot easier to support.
And where, if you wanted to, this probably going to show my ignorance. But let's say you wanted to listen to a CD or something. Would that all be, where would you do that?
That's kind of where the industry is going. CD and optical media is really being phased out. So if you, sorry.
I don't use 8 tracks anymore. No. So what does it look like? Is it just in the server?
That's a great question. You still have your normal Windows desktop. And the great thing about this deployment is that a lot of users are still on an old operating system, Windows XP, which is actually being phased out next year by Microsoft. This is the opportunity for us
Windows is being...
Windows XP, a version of Windows is being phased out. So we're going to get an opportunity to upgrade and standardize the OS across the city to Windows 7. So it's going to be the normal desktop that you log into when you're on your laptop. You have a start button, you have your files. Everything is going to be exactly the same, except all of that information, instead of being processed at the box that's typically is at your desk, is actually across the street in the data center.
Okay.
So it's going to look exactly the same on the screen, just physically there's going to be that small box with no moving parts in it.
It does still have the connectivity with the USBs, so you can put your own stick drives in.
And there's audio as well. There's audio, so you can't play CDs, but if there's still audio for, if you need to listen to anything online.
And what's the difference in the cost between 20 of these and 20 desks? I mean, we know desktops are what?
Well, the way we broke it up, we decided to go through essentially 2 phases of deployment. What's outlined in the memo is essentially a first batch of 100. Pie in the sky, the ultimate goal will be to do all 650 desktops. Once you get up to that level, as far as around 500, 600, price per desktop comes out to about $1,000, a little bit slightly over 1,000. It's a little bit, if we're just going to deploy 100, it's around 1,300 per device. But as we increment up, that price becomes lower.
How is it going to affect those of us at home that connect through the internal users?
It's actually It's actually going to improve the experience.
Oh,
I'll leave it at that. I could expand on it, but it's actually going to. It will improve the experience. I promise it will improve the experience. Yes, and to back that up, there is an iPad app that. So I know many of you have iPads here.
Yes.
There is an iPad application that will allow you to access your Windows desktop. So as opposed to needing to configure a VPN client on your desktop and logging in and what password is what, there's the same password that you use to access your email. It's going to be the same password that you can just log into your iPad using that VMware application.
Alderman Braithwaite and then Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. I think you answered my question. So this is the WISC terminals, right? 100?
Correct, Weiss, yes.
Divided by 31,000?
Correct, and that's per terminal, yes. So a lot of the costs are, the cost at the user at the desk is reduced, but that cost is really diverted to the back end to prop up that whole environment.
Okay. And then how do you plan on keeping them secure around the building?
We're not physically securing devices to desks, but these do have the, there's a standard lock, I forgot what the lock port is called, but they are capable to be locked and secured.
The other part of that would be that a desktop now, if we had a desktop lock, it's fully functional on its own.
Yeah.
This is not fully functional on its own. The user would have to have a network to plug into and be able to configure it. So while it's more portable, we would understand that it's not as useful for a standalone user.
Yeah, the infrastructure that we're requesting here is propping that up so that in the future, as the costs go down, as really you're just purchasing the terminal at the end.
Alderman Grover.
2 questions. Will we need more servers as we retire more of these desktops?
We will need more service to create the full environment, and we're targeting, ideally 650 desktops. At the max, that's going to increase to, we're going to have to purchase 4 servers, 2 of which are in this memo here.
All right, so we'd be halfway there server-wise.
Absolutely.
And then what becomes of the desktops that we are retiring?
Well, that's something to be discussed, which is why we didn't want to take a big bite. We didn't want to go all 650. With 100, we're really going to be able to target who needs, which desktops need to be replaced first. So there are,
And do we recycle the old ones?
we do recycle the old
Yeah.
ones, correct.
How do we do we give them to people or we recycle them?
There is a, Curtis, what vendor do we use?
I can't think of the vendor off the top of my head, but we do have a vendor in the area that comes pick them up at little or no cost to us.
Yeah, they do come pick it up. I believe there's only a minor cost if they pick up CRT monitors, which there are a few CRT non-flat screens still around. There is a small disposal fee for that, but they do pick up and recycle free of
So they
charge.
trash them, or do they actually?
They strip it down, and there's
do they
metals
strip them
within
down?
there, yeah.
Yes.
Just to the extent, if we do have any takers for the usage, we then erase them. But we just the last few years when we've been doing that, there really hasn't been the demand for a 6 or 7 year old PC. It's just whether they be schools or whomever, even our not-for-profits, have newer CPUs and flat screens that they're using, and those are 4 and 5 years old. So we will certainly make it known that they're available, because we would be happy to give them blank slates to be used wherever, in the community.
Alderman Holmes.
Well, he already just addressed it, because I would be concerned that we would allow people to know that they were available if we could, if they could use them then. Because there might be agencies or not-for-profits out there, that churches, places like that, where people could go and play on them, if nothing else, to learn, like I'm learning. So, they may have a use for the community.
Okay, so this is a 3.3, the purchase of hardware and installation services from Dell. All those in favor of recommending to the council this purchase, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. Good.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Sure, thank you, Chair. I'd like to move item A 3.4, approval of purchase of insurance renewals, property excess liability, excess workers' compensation for fiscal year 2014. Staff is recommending approval of the purchase, the online policies at the total cost of $544,942, and then the funding is provided by the insurance fund.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the purchase of insurance and renewals to the council, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I recommend approval of A4, Resolution 67-R-13, authorizing the city manager to sign a notification and conditions of grant award to fund the long-term care ombudsman program. The overall budget expenses for the 2014 program are $115,278, of which $27,339 will be reimbursed by the Age Options Grant Award.
Second.
Any discussion of this?
Great program.
Absolutely.
All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair, I move committee approval of Resolution 66R13, which would authorize our city manager to sign the local agency agreement with IDOT for preliminary engineering in the amount of $68,122.37 for the Dempster Street Traffic Signal Modernization and Coordination Project.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Alderman Holmes.
Madam Chair, I recommend Resolution 65-R-13, local agency agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for construction of the Safe Routes to School project. This funding is provided by a grant from the Federal Aid State Routes to Schools program in the amount of $249,862.
This is really special.
It is, very.
It's a lot of money for a lot of good work. All right, any comments, Alderman? Hearing none. Although, all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Braithwaite.
I'd like to move item A7, Resolution 70R13, approval of the fiscal year 2014 budget of the City of Evanston. Staff is recommending approval for Resolution 70, R13, adopting the FY fiscal year 2014 budget of the City of Evanston in the amount of $254,627,610. And this is for action.
Have we talked about this enough? Are we going to have any discussion? Anything else? No? Hearing none? All right, we're going to recommend this to the council. Perhaps there'll be some discussion there. All those in favor of recommending it to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Moving along.
A8, move approval of ordinance 130-0-13, amending the Evanston City Code relating to the city waterworks system, charges, rates, fees, and penalties. Staff is recommending a 10% water rate increase.
I do have a question on this. Do you have a question? No. This is an increase on the base amount. Who can answer these? You? So there's an increase on the base amount, the minimum charge.
Yes,
And then there's an increase over that, correct?
yes, when you exceed the use.
So a person who uses more than the minimum charge, are they going to be charged the 20% and then the 20%?
No, there'll be, the base rate increases by 10%, and then the rate over the base rate also increases by 10%.
But I'm saying, so then is it 20% for people, do the people who use more than the minimum amount get charged the 10% for the minimum amount being increased plus 10% going over?
That is correct, but it's still just 10% overall. It's not, you don't add 10 plus 10. It is just 10.
So it won't be another 10% on the 10% minimum that you use?
That's correct, because the 10% on the minimum is calculated first and separately, and then if you exceed it, the quantity that you exceed by is 10%. You don't get charged again for the first base amount.
No, but you get charged for the base 10%, then you get charged for 10% for everything over the base.
That is correct, and there's examples in the memo that's provided that indicate that the cost goes up by $19. So again, on page 164, at the very bottom, it talks about the impact to the typical user, and if your base amount would increase by $3.84, and then if you exceed that, you only get billed for the units over the minimum, and then that increases by 10%. So somebody whose average water bill was $191.58 in a year will increase to $210.72, which is an increase of $19, which is 10% of what they used to pay. We are not double dipping.
Any? Yeah, no. But, you know, the problem of all of these examples being, oh, it's only going to be $300 for, you know, a tax bill that is $12,000 a year, or it's only going to be $30 for a water bill that's this. I remember when my tax bill was $1,500 and I was told, oh, it's only $50 more, and now it's close to $13,000, and every year people tell you it's only $20 more, $30 more. It really does add up, and it becomes real money after a while. So it's very meaningful, and of course, water is, you know, probably our most important commodity. All right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Do you want to?
I beg your pardon?
I don't know if it's too late to speak, and I remember you asked for
You may.
a staff report, so I don't know if you want to hold it until after we receive our staff report, but it was after.
Well, I think I mean, this is for introduction,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Fair enough.
so, for introduction. We'll get our report by the next meeting. Okay. Next item.
It's me, Madam Chair. I move committee adoption or recommendation of ordinance 133-013, amending our city code relating to the sanitation service charge for the 95-gallon containers, increasing the amount of that charge from $14.95 a month to $17.95 per month.
Right. The reason I can support this one is because I think our staff really has made a point that by reducing the size of your 95-gallon can to the smaller can, you won't have any increase, and perhaps you will recycle more. Alderman Burris.
And I apologize, I can't remember if this is in the packet or not. What is the percentage of households that have the 95-gallon? You're making a lovely face.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Jim Mayworm, Assistant Director of Public Works, Operations and Maintenance. I have to tell you the truth, I honestly don't know what the absolute percentage is. And
Okay.
I can get you that information before the next meeting.
That'd be great. The reason I am asking is I know over the last few years, there's definitely been a movement to the larger recycling from many households.
Correct.
So it'd be nice to see what has that migration been with the trash cans as well, and how many households are we talking about that would really be affected by this change?
I mean,
So
I know we
appreciate
have
that.
the data for all the different size cans we have that are distributed out there. I just don't have it with
Okay,
me. I
no,
apologize.
no,
So.
but thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes, Madam Chair, just on page 175 of the packet, Alderman Burris, we do reference that we went from 1,654 up to 1,869 when we changed the rate the last time, and we will follow up with the percentage, but you can see it's about 15 to 17% have the 65-gallon can, but that is, Mr. Mayworm, correct me if I'm wrong, that is just for the residential and does not include the condominium, which so you'd have a lot more 65 for the condominiums. So that would be, that's 5,000 thereabouts for the condominium. So we will follow up with that, so.
I know that some people have the 95-gallon cans because they're not very connected to city information. There is an elderly single woman next to me. It's just the giant can, and she probably has one little bag in there. So I'll be sure to tell her. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you can get a smaller can, and hopefully the press will make that known.
And Madam Chair, that's a call to 311 that makes the switch,
Sure,
so
yes.
it's easily done.
Right. and
Easily
maybe-
done if they know to do it.
If they know to do it. I was just saying, maybe we could have some kind of little promotional piece that we can put in our newsletter or send out on the e-news as well to just keep educating the community.
Saving some money.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Okay, 810, ordinance 131-0-13, one-way east traffic during Orrington school drop-off and pickup hours on Monticello Place between Orrington Avenue and the First Alley West. Okay.
Next to Orrington Elementary School. All right, are you finished?
Yeah, I was trying to see if I wanted to say, I was looking for something else to put, the funding is provided by the traffic control supply, but it doesn't have an amount there, so.
All right. All right, is there a second? Second, all right. Any discussion on this? Alderman Grover, this is yours.
Yeah, and good thanks to Rajiv Dahal, who helped us navigate the community discussion on this with residents next to the school, and Renard Bedon, who's the principal of Orrington. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and the issues about traffic on Monticello came to light again with the start of this school year. I kind of wish we had been able to do this before the school year started, but we'll be able to, if we approve it, make the switch during the Christmas holidays, and push the reset button beginning January.
Excellent. All right.
And it's not changing it to one way, it's simply do not enter during certain
Right,
times of day.
Right, perfect. All right, all those in favor of recommending introduction to the council, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Alderman Holmes? Oh, you just did that. Alderman Braithwaite.
The last item is A11, Ordinance 132-13, authoring the city to borrow funds from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency Public Water Supply Loan Program. Staff is recommending approval of the ordinance 132-0-13, authorizing the city to borrow funds from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency Public Water Supply Loan Program. And this is for the construction of a 48-diameter intake improvements project. This ordinance authorizes the city to borrow up to $2,300,000. Debt service will be paid from the water fund. And this is for introduction.
Is there a second? Second. My recollection is the interest rate on this is 1 point something? 1 point, just so people know that we're not being juiced.
Madam Chairperson, honored members of the committee, my name's Laura Biggs. I'm Superintendent of Construction for the Utilities Department. The interest rate right now is about 1.95%. It changes in October of every year, and so this will be good. We're about to go out to bid, and we should be bringing this project to you around February for award.
But once we lock it in?
But once we lock it in, once we award it, we'll we'll bring the loan agreement to you for final approval, and we'll get everything authorized and sign the agreement, and then it's locked in.
But the loan, the rate?
The interest rate will be locked in as well.
It is locked in.
So
Okay.
as long as we get this under construction and the loan agreement signed before next October, this is the interest rate.
This will be the interest rate.
Although
That's great.
historically, it has been around 1.9% for several years.
Right, okay, that's great.
I was just going to add that our most recent bond issue for construction was about 3.6%. So this is still just a little bit above half of our own AA1 borrowing rate.
Even with rates so low, right? That's excellent. All right. Alderman Burris.
Could someone on staff remind me, how much debt do we currently have for the water plant related debt?
I will let the director answer that question.
Thank you.
It's a toss up here. Dave Stonebeck, Utilities Director. We have very minimum debt in the water fund right now. We have 2 bond issues that are both retiring within the next year or 2. And we started borrowing IEPA loans, so we have very minimal there as well in the water fund.
Could you describe minimal for me?
I believe our debt service is less than $750,000 a year, probably more around $500,000 a year in the water fund.
Wait, 750 per year, or?
No.
What is the total debt for the water?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may,
Sure.
right after the meeting, I will confirm with in the annual financial report, what Mr. Stonebecker was referring to is we have $500,000 or less in revenue bonds left that were issued on the water fund.
Mm-hmm.
And then we still have some general obligation debt that is abated by the water fund. And we're just starting to issue. We finally did we have approval already for one water fund IEPA loan? Was this
Previously, yes.
So we have one of those, but the large number is still the sewer fund with over 70 million in IEPA debt. The water fund is substantially less, and I'll prepare just a real brief summary for the council.
Okay, so 750 in GO abated debt.
750, his 750 number, it's less.
Okay.
And that's actually being paid right now.
Right.
That 500,000 is revenue bonds, so not a property tax pledge. And then we do have what is called business type activity general obligation debt, which is higher than that. And I would like to get that number out of the CAFR and give it to the council in between meetings.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
But you're not including the sewer debt, right?
Right, right, the
That's
sewer
what they
debt's,
get water.
sewer debt's a different animal.
I know
It's like a
that.
big animal. Thank you.
Right, so we'll get that. Alderman Braithwaite, do you have a question?
Can you just give us a quick 45-second overview of this project? I mean, it's a mile long, whatever the diameter is, and we're spending a lot of money to repair it.
And what we're actually doing is pulling 2 electrical cables through that mile-long pipeline to be able to put a heated rings around the intake cones that prevents anchor ice from forming over it during the cold weather. So we keep flow through it. And then the other element is that we're pulling a 2.5-inch plastic pipe through there so that we can feed chlorine to the end of the intake that kills the zebra and quagga mussels from infiltrating into the intake pipeline.
Have the zebra mussels been stable in their being problematic, or have we gotten on top of the problem, or is there no difference?
So the original system that was installed, I believe in '93, has failed in all 3 of the intake pipelines. We've already replaced it in the 54-inch diameter. This is to replace the 48-inch diameter. The zebra mussels have disappeared, vastly disappeared from the lake. They have been replaced by the quagga mussel, which is a more invasive species. And
Where'd they come from?
from Europe again in the ballast of ships. And we have not had an issue in our intakes as in decrease of flow coming in as a result of them. The shells that are brought out from the dead mussels do create a cleaning problem for us. They come into our shore wells and we need to clean them, and they're difficult to move and dispose of.
And do we kill them the same way as we did the zebra mussels?
Yes, we use the chlorine at the end of the intake.
All right, there's always something. All right, anything else? All right, all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Anybody have any items they'd like to discuss? Hearing none. Anybody would like to move adjournment? Okay. Yes. It was already introduced, wasn't it? Somebody's saying we might have missed one, but I think.
The item
Look on the yellow.